Welcome back to Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I'm Laura Cotter.
And I'm Sky Orchard.
And welcome officially to season 2. We told you we wouldn't abandon you. We told you we'd be back. And here we are.
After a bit of a break, we made it to season 2.
I am proud of us. Good job, us.
We've only had to take 1 week off so far.
Yeah.
We'll see what the future brings.
And I think we're almost exactly a year from when we started recording. We've been doing this for a year now. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, in September it will be a year of releasing, right?
Yeah, we've been doing this longer than they've heard us doing it.
It's true.
All right. So since we're back into the classic episodes, are you ready for your classic question of the week?
Better be classic.
It is going to be a classic one. If you got just a ridiculous amount of money, and you could do serious things with it too, but you had to make one frivolous, silly, fun purchase, what would you buy? I have mine. I can tell you mine.
Please.
Because I was thinking about this as I was driving home tonight.
Oh, can I guess quickly?
Yeah, go for it.
Either an F1 car or your own F1 team.
Oh. No, that should be it. But I also don't want the stress of that. It's a grand piano made by the brand Kawai, and it's called a crystal grand piano because it is a clear cased grand piano that it's actually on sale right now because it's usually $211,000 and right now it's on sale for $180,000. So it's a steal.
How can we girl math this for you right now?
I mean, if I don't buy it now, I'm basically losing $30,000.
Combine that with interest rates and inflation.
It is less than the mortgage on my house. So, I mean, there's that.
Yeah, I mean, YOLO.
It is in stock online.
Amazing. It sounds fantastic. I love when you can see the inside of things.
Oh, it looks so cool. Like, I don't know if it would actually sound good given the materials it's made out of, but it looks amazing. And it would just mostly be a showpiece. I don't even think this thing could fit in my house. I think I'd have to take out like my dining room table and probably my couch. And then maybe like that's all I would have in this house. You wouldn't have any place to sit. We'd all just have to stand around the piano.
Hallmark Christmas movie right there. Just standing around the piano. Oh, this is hard. It shouldn't be hard. I feel lame.
You could buy a soccer team.
Could buy a soccer team, but that also might break my heart and be stressful there.
Not if you can Wrexham it, like Ryan Reynolds.
I'm no Ryan Reynolds and Rob, what's his face?
McElhenney, however you say it.
In my 6th grade computer technology class, we had to plan a trip and we were given $5,000. And somehow I managed to finagle like the travel expenses and whatnot so that I planned a trip to New Zealand to do every single thing in the Lord of the Rings, like step by step. And I still had like $3,000 left or something ridiculous like that. The rest of my travel money I spent just on replicas and or the exact props from the movies as far as armor and swords. And I made the math work somehow.
Wow.
And I got my own little armory. Ooh, I want an armory and then a indoor library like Beauty and the Beast.
So New Zealand trip with an armory for all the swords you bring back.
And a library for all the tomes I bring back as well.
I love it. I want you to try and recreate that trip now and see how much it would cost now. Which, I mean, like, really, if you're only paying for plane tickets and the rest of your time you're camping and roughing it, it's probably not that expensive.
What is $5,000 in today's money?
Oh, from what year?
6th grade. So, no, was it 9th grade? It might have been 9th grade. So freshman, 2009 minus 4, let's say 2005?
That's when I graduated high school. It would be about $8,100 today.
Okay.
Between 77 and 83.
I'll go with 83 to make it a little easier and give me a little bit more swords I can buy, maybe.
That's your homework for this week.
Okay.
I love assigning you homework on this podcast.
Because I'm definitely going to do it.
Knowing your brain, you probably will do it.
Yeah, it'll be a late night search. But then I'll get ads just being like, come to New Zealand. And then I'll be sad because in this economy.
Or you'll find out you can do it for really cheap. And you'll be like, actually, I'm going to New Zealand.
Going offline for 2 months. I'm literally walking the distance.
Will there be eagles involved that you can ride on? What is the trip back? Is it like a helicopter ride or...
Great question.
You might have to budget for that. How much does it cost to train eagles so you can ride on them?
Do they just make giant rideable drones that look like eagles?
I'm sure if you had billions of dollars, maybe that would be your frivolous purchase.
Eagle drones.
You would commission somebody to make you personalized eagle drones. Can you imagine going to work every day in your eagle drone?
That'd be pretty cool. Can make it eco-friendly too, less gas.
There you go.
Well, back to Sabrina, maybe?
Welcome to a traditional episode. We had our traditional off the rails pre-show chatter. Check. We're done.
Classic.
Classic episode. Classic us. All right. Into this episode. Season 2, Episode 1. The title is Sabrina Gets Her License Part 1. This originally aired in a 1-hour premiere block with Part 2 back to back. We're going to split it up because that's the way we roll. There are a couple of changes they had to make in Part 2 in syndication to make it fit for the time, but I'll talk about that in Part 2. There's nothing that's been changed for Part 1. Our description is Sabrina's 17th birthday turns stressful when she has to start studying for her witch's license. It originally aired on September 26, 1997. Gary Halverson is back as our director. We have Miriam Trogdon, who is a new writer for us. She also wrote for The Newhart Show. She was a consulting producer for Last Man Standing, and she's going to be the executive producer on Sabrina for seasons 2 through 4. That bodes well because 2 through 4 are really good seasons, so we'll see how she does. We have a list of new guest stars. Some of these are going to be recurring, so this will be the only time I talk about their credits, and some of these are just one-offs. We have Lindsay Sloan as Valerie Burkhead. She was in Bring It On, the reboot for The Odd Couple, Grosse Pointe. She was in both the original and the reboot of The Wonder Years, and she was in a couple episodes of Psych. We have Alimi Ballard as Quizmaster Albert. He is from Fast Five, One of Us is Lying, Numbers, CSI, and Queen of the South. Martin Mull is Vice Principal Willard Kraft. He is from Clue, which probably most people recognize him from. Also Mr. Mom, Jingle All the Way, Roseanne, Mrs. Doubtfire, and Arrested Development. And he sadly passed away last year on June 27th, 2024. Eric Estrada plays himself. He's from Chips as Officer Frank Poncherello. He was also in Van Wilder, Loaded Weapon 1, and something called Two Women, One Road. We have Mary Gross as Mrs. Quick. She was on Saturday Night Live from 1981 to 1985, and she is a gem if you ever watch any of those old episodes. She's actually pretty hilarious. She was also in Practical Magic, General Hospital, and Boston Legal, but she doesn't have any acting credits after about 2012, so I'm not sure what she's up to. And I actually searched for news articles about her, and the only thing that pulls up is obituaries for other Mary Grosses around the world. I know she's not dead, but literally there's not anything out there about her. So if you know Mary Gross, see what she's up to. How's she doing? She is never credited as a regular cast member, despite appearing in 20 episodes during seasons 2, 3, and 4.
Rude.
I know. We have a new Cece. It's Cece Michaela. She's replacing Melissa Marie Much. She's in things like Hair Show, Chicago Hope, and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Bridget Flannery is back as Jill. We have Mac Takano as Sushi Chef number 1. He was in things like Twin Peaks, Alias, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. And then Max K, that's literally his name on IMDb, it's just the initial K, is Sushi Chef number 2. And the only thing they had him in was Silent Assassins. And lastly, we have Dan Desmond as Engineer B. He was in City of Angels, Bruce Almighty, Little Fires Everywhere, and Good Luck Charlie. So, a lot of new names, a lot of names that'll be recurring throughout the next couple of seasons. We'll get into how these new characters are fitting in and what we think of them so far. But first, your overall thoughts for this episode, Sky.
It again felt very quick and go, 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 just between scenes, which isn't bad. I feel like you're jumping back in, it's not slow, you're diving straight into the fun and the shenanigans. I'm interested to see what Part 2 brings because I have not watched Part 2. This was a solid Part 1.
I definitely think part of the frenetic energy and the go, go, go of it is definitely supposed to reflect the fact that Sabrina is so overwhelmed and overloaded that you can't have a slow-paced episode and get that point across. My one overall note as I was watching the show is that I just loved all the outfits in this episode. I thought they were all amazing. There were a couple that I would wear today, but the one thing I got hung up on, Harvey wears a hat like this whole episode, and we never get an explanation for why Harvey's suddenly a hat guy.
I do not like his hat.
Was it all the same hat? I think there were 2 hats, but they were the same style, but I think they may have been different colors.
I think there was a blue and then a gray because he wasn't wearing the blue with his green sweater, I noticed, because that would just be terrible.
Why hats? What was going on? Didn't Nate have a really bad hair week and they're like, hats it is?
Maybe.
I don't think the hats continue throughout this whole season. So we'll have to see what happens in the next episode and if there's still a hat party.
Hat Watch, Season 2.
Oh, this is our new one. Okay. So we have our cold open where the aunts and Salem are in the kitchen wearing party hats and celebrate Sabrina's birthday when she comes downstairs.
And the hats were Salem's idea this time.
I don't think they were the first year.
No, he was very salty, it looked like.
Sabrina's optimistic that this birthday will be better than last and zaps herself some breakfast. The aunts give her a gift, a handbook to help her get her license. She will be assigned a quizmaster to test her in the next couple of days, but she only has 2 chances to pass the test.
Okay, so either the ants and or the magic world sure like to drop things on Sabrina just last minute. Happy birthday. Here's a cauldron, you're a witch. Happy birthday. Here's a pamphlet in the shape of a handbook. Better study for this quiz. But if she was a full witch / grew up in a full witch household, would she already know the general gist of what's going to happen as you get to 16 or 17? And then is it just these half witches who are screwed and it's like, well, good luck. You get extra tests because you're extra unpure? I don't know. I have questions.
Unless there's some magical spell that prevents one from telling another person about the license and the test before they turn 17. There's no way any child who has older siblings would not know about this test as a full witch in the other realm. There's no way. Because even if your older sibling doesn't tell you, the older sibling of one of your friends is going to tell their little sibling, and then you're going to know. Like, everybody would know. But I also tend to think that Zelda would not leave this to the last minute if it was possible not to. I don't think. Hilda, yeah. Do you disagree with that?
I don't know if I disagree. I think I'm just a little mad about the inequity in the witch world.
There's no DEI in this world, remember? We already established that.
No DEI in troll law, but apparently in witch law too.
I mean, Drell's in charge. Do you think Drell allows for DEI? This could also be like another way that they discourage mortal witch pairings. If the wax thing didn't discourage you first, then here's another way we're going to discourage you from having half witch children is we're going to make it so hard on them that there's going to be a million ways they could potentially lose their powers.
That's a good theory as well.
We'll never get an answer, so let's just choose what it is for us, and that'll be the answer.
Love this journey for us.
And we're just going to make up all these answers and we're just going to become the foremost authority. And then somebody else in 4 years is going to come along with their Sabrina podcast and we're like, you're wrong because we decided this is what it is.
Back in the old days, we laid this down.
So Sabrina runs out to catch her bus, but Hilda first makes sure she takes the handbook with her. Once she leaves, Hilda tells Zelda they need to tell her the consequences, but Zelda says there's nothing they can do. We have our classic outfit intro, where Sabrina is dressed like a lobster and says, "Don't be shellfish."
So punny.
Did you laugh?
No. I sort of tune out the outfit intros, I'm not gonna lie. It's not something I'm invested in.
Are you still mad about the scuba diving one where you didn't notice the shark?
I've completely forgot about that one until just now, so apparently not.
Sabrina bumps into a new girl at school. It's Valerie. Sabrina tells Valerie it's a pretty friendly school as Libby walks past and says, "Freak." Valerie is from Minnesota and moves around a lot. She asks why Libby called Sabrina a freak and asks if she's weird because she really wants to be in the cool crowd, but then apologizes for how shallow she sounds and maybe Valerie has some self-esteem issues. First impression of Valerie versus Jenny. And which one do you think you're going to prefer?
Right now, I'm preferring Jenny. I hope Valerie just gets some sort of chill to her character, maybe. Just a very nervous, anxious energy. And part of me, like, identifies with that, but part of me is just like, oh, you're so annoying. Like, it's a lot of... There is no internal filter. She just says everything. Like nervous, anxious, whatever. I can get with that. But I think it's just the no filter of, should I say this? Should I not? What's an inside thought versus an outside sentence?
Yeah. I mean, we can kind of see why she's never been popular before.
That's true.
We also don't get any mention of Jenny, where she went, what's happened. In the first scene when Sabrina's listing out all the good things about her turning 17 versus 16, where she's like, I'm not new at school. I have a boyfriend. I'm getting good at my magic. There's not like, and I have a best friend. Jenny is just gone. They had a huge fight over the summer and Jenny's dead to Sabrina now.
Maybe she accidentally went back into the linen closet and she is a katydid forever.
Poor Jenny. Maybe Skippy took her to keep as a pet.
It's canon now. We just decided, so.
We are the authority. So we met Valerie. We then meet a new teacher who tries to tell Sabrina to take AP algebra after school. The teacher notices the handbook as Sabrina shoves it in her locker. And this is the same thing where we now have Mrs. Quick instead of Mr. Poole. Thoughts on that? First impressions?
I miss Mr. Poole. Mr. Poole was cool. He ruled the school. He didn't drool. Goodbye, Mr. Poole. Like parallel wavelengths almost to Valerie of just sort of speech pattern almost, and just how she speaks to Sabrina is weird. I think I had a note later on that I'll just say now of where like I'm calling it that she knows she is either in the witch world or knows of the witch world just because she seems so obsessed particularly with Sabrina. Like walks in a room and it's, oh, Sabrina, and just very Sabrina focused. So that's my hypothesis.
All right. We will see if you are correct. Harvey shows up and tells Sabrina happy birthday and is introduced to an awkward Valerie. Sabrina thanks Harvey for her earrings and tries the cookies he made for the bake sale, but they're not good. And she offers to bake him some instead. And she takes the cookies. I don't know what she's going to do with that box of cookies, but she takes it to go with her wherever she's going to go with those cookies instead of just being like, you should throw these away. But whatever. Valerie then officially asks Sabrina if she can be her friend.
And Sabrina jokingly is like, we'll see, I'm having interviews all this week. But Sabrina's face makes it seem like maybe not a joke.
I think Sabrina's still on the fence about Valerie.
She's just realizing Jenny's gone and is probably like, where did Jenny go? Oh, I guess I need to interview for a new friend.
I did like how Valerie ended it with laughing and then being like, wait, you're joking, right? Because that's happened to me before. Libby and her friends are talking about Libby becoming the editor of the school newspaper. She promises that when she's editor, there will be no freakazoid news, said as she walks past Sabrina. Valerie tells Sabrina she should be the editor of the paper because even though they met 2 minutes ago, Valerie thinks Sabrina would be great at it. Then she nervously asks if Sabrina likes her. This poor girl needs some confidence, needs a spine, needs a personality. Hopefully one will develop. We'll see. At home, Salem is sitting on the hamper in the hallway, and the linen closet door rings, then opens with money flying through the house, piling onto the table in the kitchen. The aunt's bond has matured.
And they got the bond in 1660, and Zelda says she knew people would say yes to sanitation. I somehow found something that could be tangential to sanitation in the 1660s.
All right.
On November 28th, 1660, the Royal Society, a scientific organization, was founded. The members of it are called Fellows, and they met weekly at Gresham College in London, conducting experiments on mechanics, magnetism, air pressure, and gunnery. However, they also carried out anatomical dissections and microscopical observations. So maybe we're finding about germs and we need to sanitize things. It still exists and is the world's oldest scientific academy. Now, women weren't elected into the academy until 1945. And then sadly, women only make up 10% of the membership today. But I could see Zelda finding a way to contribute to this academy in the 1660s, finding a way to get herself in this world where magic and Zelda are real.
Agreed.
And thus she got her bond on sanitation.
I will accept that thread of how this connects. Harvey asks Sabrina to go to the slicery after school, so the slicery still exists.
It's been ages.
I know, it's been a bit. But she's going to join the newspaper. He thought she was swamped. She is, but she can handle it. He asks her not to forget about his cupcakes or the dance, which is apparently a dance just to honor the football players. I never had a dance like that.
I mean, I would argue that's homecoming in general, right? Because you have the homecoming game and then the dance after.
Theoretically, yeah, it's homecoming. I also just found out like 3 days ago that when I was a senior in high school, our hockey team won nationals. Had no idea. Never knew that they won nationals. And I'm like, we should have had a dance for that. Like, we should have had a party. We should have done something.
Not even like an assembly?
No. Well, I mean, I didn't go to, who went to assemblies in high school? We went down and got breakfast at Einstein's instead.
You put them in like midday, so you left your class with your teacher to go to the assembly.
High school assemblies were always first thing in the morning, and nobody went.
Nice.
Well, I mean, you went freshman year, and then after that, or sophomore year, and after that, you never went again. Sabrina enters the journalism classroom and Libby asks if she's looking for the Luther convention. She is. And look, she found it. Sabrina has some good comebacks this season. Good for her.
Sabrina's getting her spine, so maybe Valerie will get hers.
It took a year, so hopefully this keeps up. Libby and company roll their eyes. Valerie comes in and tries to introduce herself, but Libby and her friends just cringe.
And Valerie walks past them saying, I feel good about myself. I feel good about myself. I feel good about myself. Verbally, once again.
I mean, maybe don't knock it till you try it, Scott. Libby tells Jill and Cece not to worry because Mr. Kraft will make sure she's in charge. But then Mrs. Quick walks in. She announces the editor position will not be a popularity contest this year. Libby is distraught, Sabrina is elated, and she didn't even have to use magic. Valerie overhears this and questions what she means. Sabrina covers by telling her that using magic is slang for curse words at her high school. Back home, everyone is eating cake with Sabrina's face on it.
Oh, I missed her face on it.
Oh, I was actually going to ask you what you thought of that.
I was focused on Salem's frosting beard.
I need you to look at it because it's kind of creepy. And I was like, I don't know if this is what they wanted. You know those drawings that are like outlines of like nose, eyes, lips, but it's like that done in frosting. So there's something just like a little off-putting about it. And like up to her chin has been eaten.
So almost as good or equally as good as Hilda and Zelda's faces on that coin, which were terrible.
Yes. Very similar, but like done in frosting instead of coin. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. You know how, like, you should not aim for realism in certain art forms?
Mm-hmm.
You should more go for, like, cartoony or, like, vibes rather than realism. Like, they should not have tried to go for realism in frosting. It doesn't translate well. Hilda asks Sabrina if she started studying the handbook, but she hasn't. But she does suddenly remember that she needs to study for a test tomorrow and runs out of the room. Hilda wonders if their parents went through this with them, but Zelda points out that she memorized the whole thing. Hilda zaps a pair of goody two-shoes onto Zelda.
Which they are ruby red slippers, so goody two-shoes or somehow the Wicked Witch of the East's slippers.
Sure.
Got wicked and good going on in the same moment there.
Maybe they became goody two-shoes once Dorothy put them on. Maybe they were baddie two-shoes.
Dorothy.
Behind Zelda, you can see there is a window that in fact looks out onto the porch behind them, which I was questioning last season if it was sometimes a mirror, sometimes a window. Looks like we are committed to window. Mystery solved on that one. I don't have to think about that window anymore.
Committed for now.
Until it turns into a mirror again or something. Sabrina is asleep at her desk and Salem wakes her up.
I don't know if you noticed on like the wooden box in front of her, there's like a weird fake half sandwich on top. There's also what's clearly a fake apple, like shiny, this is poisoned, Snow White level of perfect fake apple. But back to the sandwich. Is it an eraser? Is it a pincushion? Is it a squeaky toy for Salem? Like, I was staring at that for too long. You go look at that, and
Okay.
I will look at the cake, and let's meet next episode
Deal.
and discuss. That is your homework.
Okay, I love it. Got it. Done.
Listeners, let us know what you think it is, because it was distracting.
Okay.
Also, Cauldron Watch Season 2, a little further along the camera will pan out, and we do see the cauldron full of pens, pencils, a pair of scissors, a ruler, and like a black velvety drawstring bag.
Maybe there's corn in that. That's a throwback. If you didn't listen to our season 1 break episodes, you're not going to get that reference. So go listen to them now.
Better go listen.
Yours was so much nicer than mine. Salem is worried that Sabrina's overextending herself, but she claims she's fine. She's finished her editorial and is now going to study for history, starting with Patrick Henry.
Oh, Patrick Henry. So, I don't like that period of history. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe that makes me unpatriotic, but those dudes, dudes.
The shoes were cool.
Well, you have the shoes, I guess. So Patrick Henry, typical white dude, lawyer from Virginia, founding father. He was against the ratification of the Constitution when there was not a Bill of Rights. So I guess you can say thank you for a Bill of Rights that is slightly still followed.
For now.
Yes. It's trying to not go completely depressing, but you took us there.
Sorry.
But the true frustrating part about this man is he professed, there are several quotes of him professing that slavery was wrong, and he hopes that it would be abolished. However, he kept buying slaves and having slaves do his work because he didn't think anything would work to end slavery. Oh, this man.
Cool.
Yep. And that is Patrick Henry. He gives you a cool quote, I guess.
He was like 10% of the way there, which is better than those that were like -50. So, hey. Salem points out that Henry's original quote was going to say, "Give me liberty or give me some other option." Salem convinced him to say otherwise. The phone rings, interrupting them, and it's Harvey trying to tell Sabrina some deep thought he had. Did you like this part with Harvey?
Glad he's thinking some deep thoughts. We're trying.
I was dying. Sabrina sits down on her bed while listening and quickly falls asleep. The next morning, Sabrina is woken up by a strange man in her room, her quizmaster. She asks if it's time for her test, but he tells her she's not ready. This is just a warning. She promises to study, and he zaps away. She groans, hoping she can handle everything.
Quizmaster, I forget his name. I didn't realize we learned his name.
We don't actually learn his real name for a while, so Quizmaster's fine.
Has some good lines. I liked the one of, "You haven't even cracked this hand, not even the knuckles," in reference to the handbook.
What do you think of Quizmaster's outfits? Did you pay attention to them at all?
Oh, I did. I noticed
Okay.
them. You know, if I were going to have a 90s character in a witch comedy named Quizmaster, that checks out. I think costuming did a good job for what they were going for.
Yeah. When I wrote down that I loved all the outfits in this episode, with a caveat, I wouldn't wear all of them, but I feel like they're all appropriate to their characters, and I feel like they all convey a lot of information about the characters who are wearing them. The other thing I noticed is that Sabrina either got a new clock radio to replace the one that Roland took, or he gave it back, because she has her clock radio on her nightstand.
Same model.
I think so. It looked the same. I'm sure the props department just like put it back because they're like, there's 4 months between these episodes. No one's going to remember this.
Laura Cotter will remember it.
Thanks to streaming. Sabrina and Valerie walk out of history where Sabrina is pretty sure she didn't do well on her test. They separate and Sabrina runs into her quizmaster in the hallway. He asks if she's been studying, but she says she's been busy. He offers to help and snaps, slowing down time first, then speeding it up. Sabrina meets Harvey in the cafeteria. He tries to ask her about text colors, either powder blue or maroon.
Neither of which are Harvey's color, I feel like.
Which would you choose, Sky?
For Harvey?
For yourself?
For myself. Powder blue. It brings out my blue eyes.
I have a picture of my dad wearing a powder blue suit from when he was in school.
I feel like maroons and reds just bring out my rosacea.
They are interrupted by Vice Principal Kraft introducing himself and talking about the dance on Friday.
I like that he says Kraft like the cheese, similar to how I say orchard like the trees. After he says Kraft like the cheese, I love that random boy in the background that's just like, loser.
Do you think that was Nick Bakay?
I could see Nick Bakay doing that.
Now that we know it's Bakay, not Bakay.
Yep. He's probably calling us losers all of season 1.
That's okay. I would pay for Nick Bakay to come on this podcast and call us losers.
Heard it here first, folks.
Just add it to the expense list. Do we think he's on Cameo? Maybe he's on Cameo. That's going to be your birthday present this year, Nick Bakay calling you a loser.
Amazing. A meowsing.
The football players' girlfriends will be making posters for them to decorate the gymnasium or cafeteria, wherever they're holding the dance. Sabrina objects to this on feminist grounds, but Libby sucks up to Kraft, saying it's a great idea. Sabrina asks Harvey if he understands, and he says yes, then tries to ask her about tuxedos again, but they are interrupted, this time by the bell. And what if a football player didn't have a girlfriend? He just doesn't get a poster?
Or he makes his own. His mom makes it.
Maybe he's assigned a girl to go out with. Hilda discovers Sabrina left her handbook at home. She knows they're not allowed to tell her what will happen if she fails, but maybe she can just zap it to her. She tries, but Zelda stops her. They're not allowed to meddle. Zelda, meanwhile, keeps counting their money, but is coming up short. And I love Hilda's outfit so much in this scene. It's so cute. That paisley jumper dress. Love it. A+.
I paused before the scene went on, and I was about to write the note that Salem went to his bookie. And then I erased it because we instantly went into this next scene.
So we cut to Salem in a business suit, the cutest little business suit.
Oh, so cute.
In a Japanese restaurant with a bunch of money as the restaurant staff debate whether or not they can serve him because he's a cat.
But he has money.
So much money. Like how it's like all just like stuffing out of his suit.
And then his little paws resting on like 300. That's just pushed out towards them.
Number one, how did he get into that suit by himself?
I could see him just going to Hilda and being like, I want to wear this suit. Will you help me? And Hilda's just like, sure.
How did he stuff the money in the pockets?
How does he use the telephone?
He can like slap it off the like the receiver off the base. Harvey is following a busy Sabrina to her after-school AP algebra class and asks her about the cookies she was supposed to make. She runs out to get them and runs right into Mr. Kraft in the hallway. Once he leaves, she zaps the plate of cookies. Mr. Kraft comes back and he is shocked to see her holding cookies now. She gaslights him about how she always had cookies. And this is where I was like, oh, the teachers seem a little more aware of magic stuff this year. So first, Mrs. Quick spots the handbook, and then Mr. Kraft puts together that the cookies weren't there, then they were there.
I did love Mr. Kraft's. If I weren't on antihistamines, I would look into this.
I know. It did make me think like the Sabrina TV movie we watched, where that teacher saw some of her magic, but like just thought he was going crazy. And I said that I wish Mr. Poole had been a little bit more aware of the magic or had seen it a little bit more. I was like, okay, we're going to get it now with Mrs. Quick and Mr. Kraft. Like, I think they're going to see a little bit more of it. As Sabrina goes to give the cookies to Harvey, she is greeted by the quizmaster who zaps them away. He challenges her to reverse his spell, but she doesn't know how. He vanishes just before Harvey comes out and asks for the cookies, but Sabrina admits she didn't have time to get them. Harvey is disappointed and feels like she's too busy to be his girlfriend lately. Zelda proposes investing the bond money, but Hilda wants to use it for fun. And Hilda is reading a book when Zelda comes in the room and she just immediately throws the book down. Like, she has the book open and she looks to her side like she's going to grab a bookmark, but she never actually grabs a bookmark. And then she just like throws the book down and there's nothing marking the page that she was on. And the book just closes.
Sounds like some Hilda reading energy for you.
She also wasn't that far into the book, so I don't know if she was like, yeah, I can find this place again really easily. Zelda dreams about how to use the money for fun, and we see an image of her buying another T-bill, which T-bills were referenced in Terrible Things. So if you want to remember what a T-bill is, go back and listen to that episode because I explained it. Hilda is disappointed and shows Zelda her own daydream where Eric Estrada is giving her a shoulder rub in a 62 Thunderbird convertible. Zelda tries again and starts in a sports car, but ends right back up at the bank, investing the money again. Then we get a scene where Salem's getting kicked out of the restaurant.
This is not your typical cat actor, because they chose one, I don't know if you saw, that's a little chunkier, especially in the belly, and so it's a little chunky cat being taken out.
Maybe he's supposed to be chunky because he ate too much sushi.
Exactly, and is getting kicked out.
Oh, I like that. I did not notice. I'm glad you noticed that. Mrs. Quick confronts Sabrina about being distracted, but she doesn't really listen and goes off to get a cupcake from the bake sale. Mr. Kraft wanders by, muttering about his antihistamines and HMO. Sabrina tries to talk to Harvey, but he's in the middle of the bake sale. She tells him she's ready whenever he is and leaves. Libby immediately swoops in with a snarky comment. Which I don't get the feeling that Libby wants to date Harvey. I just feel like she wants to just cause chaos in Harvey and Sabrina's relationship.
Yeah, because the very first cafeteria scene, it's Harvey sitting alone, and Libby's like, hey, you sitting alone? And Sabrina, like, gets so snarky, like, no, he's not, as she sits down.
She doesn't say anything like, oh, I would pay attention to. Like, she doesn't do anything like that. I think she's just trying to cause them to break up for her own amusement.
Agreed.
Which I think goes back to the end of season 1, where she was talking about the curse. And again, I didn't feel like she was trying to do it to get with Harvey. I think she was just doing it because she was like, yeah, sorry, you guys are just going to break up. That's just how it is. The aunts are still arguing about what to do with their money when Sabrina gets home, and they conjure a coin to flip to see who gets the money. They toss it in the air, and as it's spinning, hear Sabrina yelling from the kitchen. They run to check on her, and she's upset because Harvey won't talk to her because he isn't home. They try getting her to study the handbook again, but the quizmaster appears. He asks her about molecular transference and gifts she would like to give him. He disappears and Sabrina admits she's not ready. The aunts try to cheer her up and help her, but her finger just makes engine stalling noises. She's shorted her finger from too much stress. There is a cling and the coin has fallen down. Zelda has won. Mrs. Quick announces that Sabrina is the new editor of the school paper and hands her a stack of papers and books. Valerie is celebrating, but Sabrina seems unsure as they walk down the hallway and meet Harvey. He's actually supportive of this, even though it means more work.
He says lots of famous people were editors of their school newspaper. Sabrina says, really? Like who? And Harvey says, Charlemagne? Fun fact, it is still a very active debate between historians whether or not Charlemagne was literate.
Was anybody literate back then?
Some people were.
Monks, mostly.
Well, he was the head of the Roman Empire.
You don't need to read to lead a country.
Many a debate.
We would live in a different world if you had to do a reading test before becoming the leader of the country. Harvey and Sabrina make up, and Sabrina offers to make a poster for the dance, even though she doesn't seem like she will have time to do it. And then Harvey assures her that he would make one for her if the girls of the science club asked their boyfriends to make posters. And I would love so much to see what poster Harvey would make for Sabrina, especially given the Valentine that he cut out for her. Sabrina is in her bedroom and has just finished her poster for Harvey. Now it's time to study the handbook. Just as she sits down, the quizmaster appears. It's time for her test. He zaps them into the living room and gives her a train problem. She knows how to solve it. She zaps herself into the trains to find their speeds, then goes back home. She solved the problem, but there's only one track in Westbridge, and they're going to crash in 1 minute. She casts a spell to divert them, except...
During the Sabrina movie we watched, we talked about how we missed the consistency of rhyming spells. We get a rhyming spell of, trains are big and they are leaded. Move them away from where they are headed.
And that spell diverts the train right into her house, and R.I.P. that piano that I've obsessed about so much. It just goes flying.
Can't be concerned about how it's being mistreated anymore.
Better hope there's nothing valuable in that piano bench that Hilda was hiding. It's gone now. All magic has consequences, and she has to think of them before she acts. She failed her first try. The ants come down and finally tell her about the penalty. We flip to the ants and Sabrina somewhere in space, standing in front of a door and looking down on witch camp. It's like military school if military school were run by really strict, sadistic witches. She has to stay there for 2 days, which means she'll miss the dance.
Don't worry, she'll learn how to kill and cook her own food.
Do you think that's a skill Hilda's ever actually used?
Hilda, potential cannibal mass murderer?
I guess killing your own food, you turn it into another food that you can just chop up. And we have no end tag. We just have a series of stills from the episode. So that is the end of our episode.
Cliffhanger.
What will witch camp be like? In the next episode, we will watch Sabrina Gets Her License Part 2. What is your guess, Guy? What's going to happen in Part 2?
Because we're using the word gets, I'm going to guess that she does in fact get her license. I think we'll get some characters at witch camp that I'm excited to see. And I think that Harvey and Sabrina's relationship is going to be tested with her missing the dance.
Do you think she'll actually miss it?
There'll probably be some sort of cheat where she can turn back time because of the handbook says so. I mean, the quizmaster, I feel like, sort of alluded to it with the jumping forward in time, slowing down, whatnot. They'll probably cheat the system.
You sound like you want her to miss the dance.
Actions have consequences. Magic has consequences. Follow some rules.
Well, we know how Sky feels. In the meantime, will you please like, share, rate, and subscribe to this podcast?
Share it with a friend as well.
Yes, share it with a friend. Share it with a neighbor. Share it with a guy that you kind of hate, maybe. Share it with everybody. You can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Threads, Facebook at somethingwitchypod, and TikTok at something.witchy.pod. Until next time.
Stay magical.